So UFC 326 is this Saturday, Holloway and Oliveira, and besides the main event, not a whole lot going on. Not gonna lie to you, our co-main, Baralho versus Derrida. See, to anybody else, does this not just scream fight night main event? Like, we have Pfeiffer and Adesanya on a fight night main event. Like, that can't get this pay-per-view spot in here under Holloway and Oliveira, but I digress. Like, and to think this was going to be Moicano versus Ortega, oh my god, what the fuck are we doing? But yeah, besides the main event, not a whole lot going on. We're just going to run down the main card here. If you want pre-Olympics, look, I'm sure people watching this channel will probably watch Guru and Bedtime and all that stuff anyway, so there's those guys' picks, but I'm not going to be, pretending to get excited about Cody Garbrandt main event and prelims in 2026. Sorry, I'm just not going to do it. But this is the second time round for Holloway and Oliveira, but it's really the first time round. We all know that first one didn't really count. And this fight doesn't actually mean anything in the grand scheme of things unless Justin Gaethje somehow pulls off the miracle and beats Ilia Topuria. Because, even with a victory here, like, these guys will still need another win before they can be considered in title contention, because if we go under the assumption Ilia is going to beat Gaethje, Ilia's then fighting Arman. Like, that's what's going to happen next. Where does that leave these two? They're going to need to have another, or the winner at least is going to need to have another fight, unless Gaethje somehow beats Ilia and Arman somehow gets passed over again. Maybe he starts a riot somewhere else. Then maybe the winner of this will stake a claim for the belt. But until then, this fight doesn't really mean a whole lot in terms of the rankings. They're still going to need to have another fight before they're even considered for title contention. But let's just get to the fight now. Holloway and Charles Oliveira. Before we just get into the pick, let's just look at both these guys' form really quickly, right? We'll start with Oliveira, because he's been in this, I don't want to say slide, right, because he's not had repeated losses, but for the last few years now, Oliveira has had a win and then a loss, and then a win and then a loss. He hasn't really been able to build that momentum because all of his wins are after, I wouldn't even say harrowing losses, right? That loss to Ilia was a harrowing loss, but he won that big fight in Rio against Gamrot. That was big for Charles specifically because it was in Rio, it was in Brazil. But like, this is what I mean, that was coming back after getting just put on a shirt by Ilia, which was then after he dominated Michael Chandler and won that unanimous decision. But then that was after the close split decision loss to Arman, which was after the impressive first round KO, where it's like, okay, the streak got broken by Islam in the last fight, but he's back. And he's never really been back to like prime Charles. I still love Oliveira, right? But it's never been that like 11 fight win streak Oliveira that was, the champion. But Oliveira done an interview recently where he was saying after the loss to Ilia, he didn't even know if he wanted to keep fighting. Like, he thought that might have been him done, which is not what you want to hear coming into this, because like, he said he's glad he didn't retire because he got that moment in Rio, but this is just not what you want to hear in the lead up to a big fight. That here, yeah, you know what, I was actually considering just being done with this shit. Like, I don't know if I can really get there anymore. This is not good news. This is not what you want to hear. On top of the inconsistent form, the win a fight, lose a fight streak, and you won your last fight, and you're thinking about, this might be it, that might be time to be done, and you're coming up against Max Holloway. Like, no, this is not, the red flags are here, the warning lights are flashing bright. And look, let's just move on to Max Holloway, because his sort of form too here, like, he beat Dustin Poirier, but like, that was old man Poirier, right? And he did get dropped at one point in that fight. What I will say is he did get dropped, and I think it was round 2. Besides that point, it never really looked out of control for Max. Like, he was the one leading that fight. You knew when it got to the scorecards that he was going to win. There was no real doubts about it. But like Charles Oliveira, that his last win is coming off a brutal KO loss. Not as brutal as Oliveira's. Still a KO loss to Ilya, you know. And I'm not really going to hold those losses against these two, right, as the be-all, end-all, because, look, Ilya's very good, and Ilya knocks out lots of people. So I've seen some rhetoric that just sort of looks at, well, Max Holloway lasted longer than Oliveira did against Ilya, so therefore he's going to win. And, like, I just don't think that's really fair, because, I mean, it was the same result anyway, you know what I mean? Does it really matter? That was like, Charles had to go up against bulked up Ilya, right, that didn't have to shred all that weight. Like, it's the way that they lost to me is just irrelevant, because it was both a KO, so it doesn't really matter too much to me, at least. But what I will say about Holloway, right, his last couple of fights with Gaethje and Korean Zombie, KO wins. But honestly, Holloway is a bit of a fucking underrated decision merchant, and I think it kind of just gets glossed over because he's entertaining and you can actually watch Holloway for 5 rounds and not get bored. But the knockout over Gaethje only happened because, here, point down, last 10 seconds, I've got this. And it just so happened he landed that overhand and killed him. He did KO Zombie, to be fair. But then you go back, decision win against Allen, decision loss against Volk, decision, split decision, unanimous, back to fucking 2018 for Brian Ortega for his last KO win after Korean Zombie. And that was a TKO. Now, I know I included losses in that streak, but it was more so just to emphasise the point that he has been going the distance now for a long, long time. So if we just look at the ways to win, the paths to victory, whatever, like, I don't see Holloway subbing Charles, right? We can just knock that off the table now. But I also don't even really see him getting a KO over Charles either. Now, I know that Charles doesn't really get KO'd, but he gets chinned in every fight. He gets chinned in every single fight. He gets, especially these big ones, these title fights and such, you can almost guarantee Oliveira to be knocked down. Like, get it on the bet. So I can see him getting a knockdown over Charles, but I can't see him getting KO'd. And look, you never know. See, after somebody gets, like, brutally finished like that, sometimes the chin just breaks and it's gone and you never get it back, and that could just be the streak. He never got hit against Gamrot, so he hasn't actually had any damage put on it. But, you know, Max, if he hits him, he hits the right way, you know, you could see a knockout here. I doubt it, just basically because he's been hitting up decisions with everybody else. But, and yeah, okay, he knocked out Gaethje, but again, in any other normal fight, if that's any other fight, they're not doing the point down in the fucking last 10 seconds, spam as many shots as you can, fucking hit square on the controller as many times as possible, or fucking triangle, whatever the buttons were. Inversely, looking at Oliveira though, I mean, look, just what I said for Oliveira could be the same for Max. Max doesn't get chinned, he get fucking destroyed there by Ilya. Could that be it? Could that be the one, the straw that breaks the camel's back? I doubt it, because Poirier hit him, and he was able to survive that. Yeah, okay, he got dropped, but again, he got dropped and Poirier jumped to Gilly. You never thought, oh my god, well, for 10 seconds when the crowd just fucking erupted, but you never actually thought Holloway was in any trouble, even after he got knocked down, to be honest. To be perfectly honest. So, yeah, Charles Oliveira hits hard. I don't think he's going to KO Holloway. Do I think he could get the sub? Yeah, maybe. Do I think he could maybe knock down Holloway and then get the sub after the fact? I think that's more likely than just he KOs him, he just chins him and he's just out there, out cold, stiff. Like, I doubt that's going to happen. I could possibly see a knockdown into a sub. But I think this one's going the distance, to be honest with you. And I just think Max Holloway is going to be able to out-volume Oliveira. And I know that Oliveira's grappling's obviously just a huge advantage for him over Holloway. But you can tell me you can't see Oliveira just going, yeah, you know what, I'll just stand with him. I don't care. Like, tell me that's not the case. He went to the ground with Gamrot and just outclassed him, just fucking finessed him, beat him up, subbed him. It was amazing to watch. But I could see him getting caught up in the BMF spirit, the BMF dance, the BMF shuffle. I could totally see him getting caught up in it and just thinking, yeah, I'll just stand. And then that way Holloway's got that lead out in front of you, and then it's too late to actually then pull it back, where you then need the finish. And I think when Holloway's already up, it'll then be hard for Oliveira to then pull it back. But I think Max Holloway, via decision, I think maybe 49-46, maybe 48-47 on a scorecard. But I think Holloway will just have enough to get this done, to be honest with you. I will be nervous if this fight starts and Charles Oliveira grabs that body lock. It's like I'm changing my pick straight away. Like, this one's really close. I'm seeing a lot of Max Holloway picks. I think it's closer than that. I still think Holloway's going to win, personally, but it's not going to be a complete landslide. I think it's going to be similar to the Poirier fight, where it's close but clear. I thought there was going to be more mixed opinions on this fight, but I think a lot of people are going with Holloway, which makes me sad because I'm such an Oliveira guy. Like, he's one of my favourites. Like, if I'm making a top three, Oliveira's in it, Pereira's in it, and honestly, it's probably Elliott at this point as well. But yeah, this makes me sad that one of these guys has to lose, but sadly, I think it will be Oliveira. So, in our co-main, we're just going to run through the rest of the main card here. Prelims, you guys do what you want. If you're making up bets here, you guys, for the prelims, you are on your own. I'll give you the winners here, for the main card at least. But before we get there, shout out to all my boys in North Korea. In South Korea, actually. The last three of my last four videos have been blocked in South Korea. So I know you guys have been hungry for the past few days. But up on the channel just now, I've got reviews, retro reviews for UFC 1 through 14. 15 is on the way very soon, and the first Pride event is also up on the channel. So if you're not in South Korea, you can watch those videos, and I would do so right now because they are very good. But moving on to our co-main, fight night main event, co-maining a pay-per-view, but I mean, as much of a pay-per-view as it can be. We have Baralho versus the Ridder, and look, I'm going to spare you the suspense. The winners are going to be ticked and the losers are going to have the cross through their name just from the start, because fuck it. I think Reina de Ridder's just going to get this one done. To be honest, I think he kind of suffered from the Merab Pereira effect of just being almost too consistent, too active. Like, just too many fights in such a short space of time, and like, he just fucking gassed against Brendan Allen and couldn't move off the fucking stool, and they called the fight. I'm looking at De Ridder's recent wins up against Baralho's, and seeing as we're talking about De Ridder, we'll just start with De Ridder here. I actually rate finishing Mearshart in round 3, and yeah, okay, Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland is just like a fucking stalwart of UFC, but to be honest, at this point, like, a win over him doesn't say a whole lot because he's been beaten a bunch, but it's still like a credible name who, okay, you beat Kevin Holland, so he's kind of like a gatekeeper in a sense where, okay, you're past the sort of Kevin Holland test, and I'm not saying that it's like, you know, a fucking university degree test, but I mean, it's still a win over Holland. Bo Nickel fucking fraud checked him, but like, Bo Nickel's not horrendous. He kind of gets a bad rap because of, I mean, let's just call it is what it is. He gets favours from UFC. But I mean, look, a win over Robert Whittaker as well for De Ridder, and I get it, it's 2025 Whittaker, who's moving up to fucking light heavyweight, I heard. Good luck, buddy. He heard Pereira was leaving and thought, yeah, I'll move up, sure, fuck it, why not? But I rate some of these wins in here, and I'm looking over across the street at Kyle Baralho, who Jared Cannonier. I'm sorry, I don't rate Cannonier that high, to be honest, but like, just me. And then fucking Paul Craig, 2024, Paul Craig. And I look, Scottish boys here. But even I know Paul Craig in 2024. Like, okay, cool. And look, he won via KO, right? I'm not saying you can only beat who's in front of you, but I'm just saying, I'm not impressed with these wins. He got a big step up from Cannonier to Imavov and lost. And, like, I just think over 3 rounds this time instead of 5, I know. But I think 3 rounds favours the Ridder. And, like, I don't know how I think I don't know how you can argue that it favours the Ridder based on the fact that he literally gassed out round 4, like, in his last fight. But I think just over 3 he's gonna have enough to get it done. I think it's gonna be a decision. I think it's gonna be a close decision. I think 29-28. I don't think there's gonna be a whole lot of finishes on this card, to be totally blunt with you, at least main card. I could see this either going one or two ways, where Baralho wins the first and then the Ridder really gets his act together on the ground and just rides it out for 2 rounds and wins. Or it goes the other way, where the Ridder wins the first 2 rounds on the ground and then is proper under fire in the third, where Baralho's like, right, okay, I need this knockout, and he just goes for it. But I think the Ridder has this. I think it'll be close. It wouldn't shock me if Baralho won. It's another one of those ones where it's really close. But I just give the edge to the Ridder. Now, third fight, feature fight. Jesus Christ, Rob Font and Rosas Jr. Holy shit. Actual fall off in this card is insane. Like, from main event to co-main, I know I was calling the co-main just a fight night main event, but at least it's like a good fight. You know what I mean? I want to watch Baralho versus fucking the Ridder. Like, that's a fight I am interested in. Do I think it should be co-main of a pay-per-view? No. Do I think this fight should be anywhere near a pay-per-view? Fuck no. Right? I'll spare you the suspense, Rosas Jr. to win because Rob Font's done. But this fight is shit. UFC put something on a community page the other day saying, oh, another banger on the card. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Seriously? And I get it. Someone at UFC really likes Rosas Jr. He's not fucking ready to be pushing past, like, and going into these rankings, he's gonna get fucked up. But look, that's his problem, not mine. We go on, next fight, Michael Johnson, Drew Dober. Besides the fact who's gonna win this, right, because it doesn't fucking matter, tell me the end game for this fight being on pay-per-view. Drew Dober's 37 years old. Michael Johnson's 39 years old. Why is this here? Like, I don't understand what the fuck the matchmaking is, because it's not even that this is a horrible matchup, right? It's whatever. If you're the immediate family of these guys, you care about this fight. But what does the winner get? And what does the loser get? Retired? Like, fucking hell. Drew Dober beats Michael Johnson. And then the first fight of the main card, you have Bruno Ferreira versus Robocop. Ferreira's, what, 4th fight in 12 months, which honestly could tip the scales towards Rodriguez. Will I change my prediction? I don't like the sound of that. But I think Rodriguez has been pretty active too, is he not? Let me see. This is his 4th fight in a year as well. Right, that's fine then. I'm backing Bruno Ferreira all the way. Yeah, I don't... Maybe by knockout, same as first time. But maybe also by... There's going to be a finish, right? He might sub him. I'm going Ferreira for a finish. There you go. That's your betting card filled up for the main card of UFC 326. Oliveira versus Holloway, the second time around. I said it earlier on the channel, we have the first Pride event review up on the channel. The second one won't be too far away, I suppose, but we also have UFC 14 recently. We have 13 up recently too, and a video on Alex Pereira, what happens next after he vacated the light heavyweight title. So go and watch those videos, like this video, and like those videos. I know you will when you watch them, right? Hit subscribe, hit the notify bell to stay up to date with the content as it drops. UFC 15 out soon. Reaction to UFC 326 also out soon. Comment your own thoughts on this card below. Like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.